Hi guys, and welcome to the Stephen King Sematary Club. We are on the third book in 4 Past Midnight. This one is called The Library Policeman. I think usually I don't care when I've read a book and I know the ending, but the ending or the big reveal in this one just ruins the rest of the story for me on reread. It begins in chapter 2 where it's referencing things that are buried in our main character, Sam Peebles. They're things buried in his subconscious, and I know what they are. He does not yet know. This novella is a kind of unearthing of trauma and discovery for Sam Peebles. A little before the very end, he has a full-blown nightmare in which he remembers what happened to him as a child at the library. Sam Peebles owns a real estate / insurance company, and he is supposed to give a speech for the Rotary Club because the guy who was supposed to give the speech hurt himself in an accident, and he is the next person who is tapped to fill in for him. So he has to write a speech. That's what starts this whole thing. And when he's reading his speech to the person who works in the office, her name is Naomi, she recommends that he go to the library and get some books to kind of spice up the speech. He goes to the library and he's never been. And he's lived in Junction City for who knows how many years. And he has seen the library, but he has never once entered it. So he walks in and no one else is there. It's very quiet. It's kind of menacing. The signage is very abrupt. It's very unwelcoming, really. It says silence, and it has posters that are kind of scary, especially for children. So there's a Little Red Riding Hood where the wolf is going to eat her, and there's a guy who is driving away with a child, and the child is screaming in the back seat. There's a library policeman poster, and he has a badge, and he is towering over some children in a threatening way. While Sam is walking around, he meets a woman, the head librarian. Her name is Ardelia Lortz, and she very much gives Pennywise vibes. So I have a working theory that she is the offspring of Pennywise, but I don't think that's been confirmed or even acknowledged. She is very much like the old lady that Bev visits in It. And when Sam mentions that Naomi recommended that he go to the library to get some books, the librarian says, "Oh, I know her. She checks out romance novels," and then she lists a whole bunch of authors. When she lists off the names of the authors, Paul Sheldon is among them, and that is the author of Misery. So it's kind of funny. A little thread from here to Misery. So Sam gets a library card. She gives him 2 books, a book of poetry and a book of speeches, like how to make speeches better. So speeches for dummies, kind of. Quote, "She raised her head and the light caught in her eyes. Sam almost dismissed what he saw there as a twinkle, but that wasn't what it was. It was a shine, a flat, hard shine. For just a moment, Ardelia Lortz looked as if she had a nickel in each eye." Page 428. So she threatens him with the library police if he is late with his books. She says, "You can only have these for a week, turn them in, or I will send the library police after you." And she says this a few times. And Sam has questioned her about the appropriateness of having those scary posters in the library. She counters with, "Well, kids watch Nightmare on Elm Street." Quote, "I myself have never seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I have never heard an Ozzy Osbourne record, and have no desire to do so, nor to read a novel by Robert McCammon, Stephen King, or V.C. Andrews." Page 431. So she's telling Sam that the kids choose the posters that go into the library, and they like the scary things. So it's kind of funny that Stephen King throws himself in. So Sam's speech is just excellent. Everyone loves it. He's getting a lot of extra business, and he forgets about the books. He mentions to Naomi that he saw Miss Lortz, and she gave him the books. And Naomi says, "Oh, you mean Mr. Price, the head librarian." And then Sam gets a business call and he forgets about it, and Naomi forgets to pursue it. She thought he was joking. He didn't even think anything of it when she was confused. The books are gone. Ardelia has already left a message saying, better return the books. We find out that the books have been crushed. Sam had put the books in a bin on his countertop, and then he threw newspapers on top of it. The guy who comes to collect the newspapers, his name is Dirty Dave, he took them and recycled them. So the books are now gone. Sam goes to the library and it's completely different. It's a much more intimate setting. It is friendly and the signage is different. The setup inside the building is completely different. The ceiling has been dropped. It's no longer a high-ceilinged room. It's just more relaxed. It's not as cold and uninviting. And Sam is very confused because there is no Ardelia Lortz. And the kids who are at the desk are trying to help him, but he's just having a hard time grappling with the fact that the library is completely different from what he entered the other day. Throughout this thing, he keeps referencing being made to feel like a fourth grader, feeling like he's in trouble. It's almost always fourth grade when he mentions something like that. And bushes come up a lot. So Sam has nightmares all night about Ardelia and about the library policeman. And he just can't relax. He can't, move on. He tells Dirty Dave to call him. He does. And Sam wants to know more about Ardelia because he's very confused now. And it upsets Dave. And Naomi overhears and she gets really mad and protective because Dirty Dave is part of AA. She's part of AA. They're very bonded to each other. And she thinks that Sam is torturing him. He basically discerns that he stepped into the library of the past. So he was talking with Ardelia Lortz, who is a ghost, and he is unable to return the books. The library is in a different time dimension. The library policeman shows up at Sam's house, and he is over 7 feet tall. He has a huge scar on his face. He has weird silvery eyes rimmed with pinkish red flesh, and his eyes are lashless. So Sam also feels young again, like a kid in trouble, fourth grade again. Quote, "What was important was that there was a monster in his kitchen, and the most terrible thing about this monster was that Sam almost knew his face," page 487. So the library policeman threatens him, tells him to get the books, return them by midnight, or he will be in trouble. Sam cowers at the man's feet, he has peed his pants, and he's terrified. Quote, "Separate from it was a cold, deep drift of childish fright and childish shame. Those feelings clung like poison syrup to whatever it was he dared not remember, the thing that had something to do with a book he had never read, The Black Arrow by Robert Louis Stevenson," page 488. Sam goes to the local newspaper, the Gazette, and he looks at back issues because he wants to find out about the library. He's been told by the library policeman that he should not snoop anymore and he needs to get the books. So he's trying to do this on his own, in secret. He can't ask around. Naomi won't talk to him. Dirty Dave won't talk to him. So he manages to find some information about Ardelia Lortz. She arrived in 1956 or 1957, which would be perfect timing for it. That was during a Pennywise cycle. 1956, 1957. He was in Derry. So I don't know, the year, the sleeping, the coming around at the same time makes me think there's a very strong Pennywise connection. This woman, Ardelia Lortz, she showed up in 1956 or 1957, and in 1960 she killed 2 kids and she hanged herself in the library. Naomi has decided that Sam wasn't being mean and he didn't have a cruel streak in him. He was just curious. So Sam, Naomi, and Dave, they sit around and they talk. Sam tells his story. Dave then tells his story. And Dave was around when Ardelia Lortz first came. He was a painter, he did sign painting, and he drank, but it was under control. But once Ardelia Lortz got him under her spell, which was a very sexual spell, but it was very almost succubus-like, where she would take energy from him, and she had him in her thrall, and he couldn't do anything but drink more and more, and he was totally enamored of her. and he would hang out in the library, and he started neglecting his work, and he got fired from a lot of jobs, and his reputation tanked. Ardelia kept Dave plied with sex and alcohol. She killed the librarian who was already there over an argument where he thought that the Little Red Riding Hood poster was inappropriate. Ardelia was in charge of the children's library, and she scared the kids, and when they got scared enough, she would take them to the bathroom and she would drink their fear with this like mosquito type nose that she used to suck up their tears. She told them like unhinged stories. There was a Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and it involved rat poison and beheading Goldilocks and eating her brains. They're already kind of scary fairy tales, but she made them even scarier. And she got Dave to paint the library policeman poster and the kid being kidnapped in the car. So it was time for Ardelia to go back to sleep and complete her cycle and re-energize. And she wanted Dave to come with her as her companion. So the price for this is he had to kill a kid. She was going to kill 2, he had to kill 1. 3 kids are supposed to die. Patsy Harrigan and Tom Gibson were the ones that Ardelia killed. And then Tansy Power was supposed to be taken care of by Dave. At the last minute, he left an anonymous tip with the police. So Dave thinks that the plan is for Ardelia to come back and take Sam's body and wear him as a skin suit. So he says, quote, "And the it took her over and put her on," page 551. He thinks that's what happened to Ardelia. There was probably an Ardelia somewhere in the past who actually existed, but then the it took her over and put her on. So that's another reference to Pennywise. Sam and Naomi, they fly to Des Moines. Dave calls in a favor from an old friend. They manage to get the books to replace the library books that got lost. So on the plane ride home, he finally remembers what happened to him. And he was returning a book that was 4 days overdue when he was a kid. Doesn't say specifically, but I'm guessing it was 4th grade that he was in. I'm not sure. He was allowed to go to the library by himself and pay this fine. So on his way, he had purchased some licorice, which was his favorite candy, and throughout this whole story, he's been saying how he hates licorice, does not like it. He's eating his licorice, he goes to the library, he's near the steps to the children's library, and a man stops him, and he says he's a policeman, and he needs to talk to Sam about his overdue book. They start talking about it, Sam says it is overdue, and the policeman says, "Come into the bushes, I need to, discuss your fine." So he pulls him into the bushes. There's this area where it's been kind of flattened out and made into a little perverted place. And Sam gets raped by this crazy man. So he didn't remember this. The way that we see it, it is happening to him, but we are experiencing it from his point of view. So he doesn't know what's going on, which makes it just so heartbreaking. Because he is unaware of what's happening. He just knows it hurts and he's being punished, and he doesn't understand, and he feels shame and he feels fear. He feels apathetic and desolate. And this man who has pretended to be a person of authority has robbed him of something. So he does not take his book back to the library. The repression begins immediately. He is just trying to not think about this ever again. And he manages to do that. So for all these years, he has forgotten that he got raped outside of a library by a guy who was pretending to be a library policeman. And it's just horrible. It's horrible. Reading it as a kid, it was scary enough, but reading it as an adult, it's just so sad, because this kind of shit happens. And it's just, I hate it. On the way back to the library, Sam buys red licorice. He makes it into a ball, and he carries it with him. He's not sure what he needs it for, but he has the books, he has the licorice. There's a huge storm that's come in, and everything is blowing around, and it's raining cats and dogs. Naomi, Dave, and Sam arrive at the library. The library policeman is the first guy that they have to fight, first boss, and he has kind of grabbed Naomi at a crucial moment and kind of pulled her to him. And then the library policeman changes into Ardelia. So she comes out, and Sam pretends like he is scared, and she brings out her mosquito nose. She's ready to suck his fear out then he takes his red licorice and he plugs her nose with it, and she explodes spectacularly. So Dave has been thrown aside by the library policeman into a fire extinguisher, and he dies from those wounds. It doesn't take very long. And he tells Sam before he dies, remember, she waits. We find out that Naomi has been infected by Ardelia because the library policeman kind of put something on her neck, like a little sack, and it's starting to control her thoughts. It's starting to be an evil influence on her, and Sam is going to help her, so he grabs more red licorice, he buys more red licorice, and he kind of makes a casing with it, and he rolls the red licorice out and places it over the little sack or whatever, and he kind of plucks it off and encloses it. So it's trapped in this red licorice ball. And they are out by a train track. When he's doing this, then he sets it on the track as a train comes by and it squishes the thing flat. And then Sam and Naomi go off and they live, I assume, happily ever after. Like I said, it has slightly ruined my rereading of it because I know what Sam doesn't remember and I feel bad for him. I feel so bad for him. So it's hard to reread this one and enjoy it. It was better the first time when I didn't know what was going to happen and I didn't feel as, sad for Sam. If it wasn't for the possible connection to Pennywise, I don't think I'd really read it anymore. But I'll probably read it again at some point. Have a spooky day.